Welcome to your 4 to 5, everybody. Eric Chilton here with Chad Silver, Tim Buckley, Lauren Coleman.
Thanks for watching us on News 2, Fire Stick Roku, and the WFMY News 2 app.
Coming up this half hour, we're going to be getting a preview of this year's Wizard of Oz at Carolina Theater. I hear it's a good one this year, so stay tuned for that. But first, we have to talk about the big story today, the remnants of Nicole pushing across our area. We'll get an update from Tim in just a second, but first, we're seeing some of the pictures you've taken today.
Take a look at these pictures sent in from Scott Lynch in Burlington. Nicole has made for a pretty wet and messy day in the Triad. You can see the dark skies and puffy clouds giving quite the gloomy scene. Tim, when will we get back to clear skies here?
Yeah, it's going to take a little while. We're still dealing with some issues across the area. In fact, many of you have probably had dry weather for several hours. That's going to start to come to an end. I'm going to start on the wide view and then we'll go closer to home. But I think this helps to kind of illustrate what we're dealing with the storm. This morning, when all that bad weather rolled through, that was just the first batch. And it was kind of a warm front that brought in all this muggy and hot weather into the area. The good news, that was our biggest tornado threat of the day. That threat has gone way down at this point, but there's still stuff left over. You see the center of the storm is still back by Asheville. So we have several more hours of rain to go. Right now, we're starting to get round 2. This is a very heavy rain band. As I already mentioned, the tornado threat at this time is very low. Not totally zero, but we're not as concerned as we were earlier. Still, though, you're dealing with torrential rain. If you are in Winston-Salem, maybe you're in King or Bethania, Poptown, these areas really getting hammered with torrential downpours right now. And this is that tropical rain that's very difficult to drive in. So if you have to be out and about, this might be the kind of stuff where you pull over to the side of the road and let it kind of wind down before you keep on going. Same idea here in Davidson County. We're seeing this push past Lexington, closer to Thomasville and Wahlberg right now. It'll also bring our temperature down a little bit. Check this out. Burlington's close to 80 degrees currently. It's in the 60s in the west. This is that change that we're expecting. It's gotten windier the last couple of hours. The winds are now at 15 to 25 sustained, but we're starting to get gustier. Take a look. 40-mile-per-hour gust net right now in Albemarle, 32 at PTI in Greensboro. These kind of gusty winds will continue because remember, we're getting closer to the center of the storm now. So the wind, that'll be something that we're dealing with for a little while. We're looking at the futurecast now as we go into tonight. Rain and showers should be going down as we welcome in around midnight or so, and that was really when we kind of have better weather for the rest of the day. And heading into your weekend, we will have more on that in just a few minutes. Colder weather will start to be on the way. Now, tonight's rain could make for a little bit of a wet commute. That's what we've been saying. Lauren Commute has a couple of safety reminders. Lauren Coleman, not Commute, has a few reminders to help prevent mishaps on the road.
We know driving in rain can increase your risk of crashing, but driving in heavy winds can be just as dangerous, even for the best drivers. It's best to stay off the road during gusty winds, but if you must be out and about, here's some safety rules to keep in mind. The National Weather Service recommends the following. Keep both hands on the steering wheel and slow down. Stay alert. Watch for objects blowing across the roadway and into your path. Keep a safe distance from cars in adjacent lanes. Strong wind gusts could push a car outside of its lane of travel. Take extra care in high-profile vehicles like trucks, vans, SUVs, and trailers. The National Weather Service says these are more prone to be pushed or even flipped by high wind gusts. If the winds are too strong to drive safely, get to the shoulder of the road and stop. If you have to stop your vehicle, make sure you stay away from trees or tall objects that could fall on your car. Stay in the car, turn on the hazard lights until the wind subsides.
And if you're driving in the rain, it's a good reminder not to use your hazard lights. Experts say it's distracting and makes it hard for others to see. Instead, they recommend just slowing down. It's also important to note state law requires you to have your lights on if your windshield wipers are on. You could even get a ticket for not doing this. All right, Tim says our severe weather threat is not over, so you'll want a way to get alerts. Our app is the best way to do that. Our weather team is rated the most accurate 15 of the last 16 years.
Right now, WFMY News 2 is getting serious about your health. Enrollment for the Affordable Health Care Act insurance ends December 15th, and we want to make sure you're prepared. 2 Wants to Know's Tanya Rivera is hosting a live free call-in event, answering all of your questions. Tanya, how long will the phone lines be open?
All right, so we have all these experts and they're ready to take your call, and they'll be here until 6:30 tonight. This is a virtual phone bank. We are with the North Carolina Navigator Consortium, and so these people are experts in healthcare enrollment. So I want you to make their phones ring, all right? So let me tell you what is going on and give you the phone number so you can see it really easy. It's 1-855-733-3711. These are insurance experts with the North Carolina Navigators Consortium, and what they do is they look at all of the insurance plans day in and day out. So what we want you to do is we want you to give them specifics, right? Instead of you going through and looking at all of the marketplace and thinking to yourself, oh gosh, there's so many different kinds of plans to choose from. We want you to be able to give them the specifics. This is how many people are in my family. This is the money that we're making. These are the meds that we take. These are the doctors that we like to see. This is the premium cost that would be the very best for us. And then they can look at all of the marketplace and they can give you the options of what are the best plans for you, instead of you trying to look at that entire database and wondering what is going to be the best thing. So use these experts to your advantage. You are able to talk to them one-on-one. The number is 1-855-733-3711. They're here till 6:30 tonight and they're ready to take your call. I see maybe one person on the phone, so you need to get them on the phone with you so you can get it all done and finished, and so you don't have to worry about healthcare enrollment after today.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. First up today, an Alamance County man is facing some alarming charges, including possessing weapons of mass destruction. Deputies say Christopher Calder was shooting and making threats at his Burlington home. They arrested the convicted felon and found a cache of weapons and ammunition, 20 guns, including a machine gun, and thousands of rounds of ammunition and a gas mask. He's now in jail under a $350,000 bond.
Election day is over, but some results are still not in. Right now, we're waiting to find out which parties will take control of Congress. Races in Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia are still pretty close. Here in Guilford County, officials are checking ballots and preparing for certification. Then they'll perform a sample audit of 2 random polling sites. They hope to have the entire process finished by November 18th. Governor Roy Cooper addressed the recent midterm election today on a CBS News podcast. He claimed Democratic governors had their best midterm election since 1986 because of activism and connection with voters. Take a listen.
I think Democratic governors this time did a much better job of communicating to people what they were doing to affect the issues that matter. And it was multidimensional. We heard a lot of pundits as, you know, these swing states came up, the polls would swing one way or the other, and everybody was looking at it, and everybody had an answer as to what issue was motivating people, and this is what was swinging the polls one way or the other.
Cooper also acknowledged voters have many different concerns and says communication from his party could be better.
Well, right now, Guilford County is glowing green for Veterans Day. Communities in our area and across the nation are participating in Operation Green Light. Here's how it works. People are encouraged to shine a little green in the window or on their house for now through November 13th. The goal is to show our veterans that they are seen, appreciated, and supported. Today, we honor our veterans, but one group that is often overlooked, that's military spouses. A survey found the top issue affecting military families in active duty is spousal employment. Experts say these spouses' unemployment numbers are 3 to 4 times higher compared to non-military spouses. While the troubles start with trying to find a job in a new city, they continue when trying to keep one.
The employer told me that I was not someone that they would want to invest in because I wouldn't be around long enough.
Luckily, there are resources out there. A company called Instant Teams connects military spouses with businesses in need of remote workers to help them with steady employment there. So that makes sense. And, you know, you know this.
Yeah, I
Lori?
could definitely speak on this. My dad was in the Army for 30 years, and my mother, she works in education. She's a principal now, but when she was a teacher, there were a couple times where she didn't have a job because a lot of times teachers have 2-year contracts. So I can remember a few times where she did a lot of subbing, or she would volunteer at my school because she wasn't able to get a job if we were only in a certain location for a year.
I'd imagine, I mean, it would be so difficult, I would think, for a situation like that where you're there for 1 year. I mean,
Yeah.
where do you work? I mean, what kind of career can you have?
Luckily, she had a job like teaching where there's always jobs available, or nursing or something of that nature. But then you have spouses who have taken a back seat that just, either didn't work and were stay-at-home moms or dads, or completely changed careers because it wasn't feasible for the moving around.
Real quick, did your family always know how long you'd be in an area, or did that change on the fly?
It would change. There were some places we would be for 3 years. Usually it was 2 years,
Okay.
but there were a couple places where we were there for a year. When I lived in Kansas, we were there for 1 year. I lived in Germany for 3 years, but we spent 2 years on one military base, and then my dad was deployed to Iraq, and we went to another military base, but we were only there for 1 year. And that was one of the years where my mom just did subbing, and pretty
be
much
flexible.
was from home. And she's a busybody, so I know that was kind of tough for her.
Yeah,
Pretty flexible.
It's pretty fascinating that North Carolina has nearly 800,000 veterans. NC Works, which is the state's official job search website, helps veterans find jobs. The website gives veterans access to posting 24 hours before the public can see them. The system also provides free information about training. On the other end, employers can search exclusively for candidates who are veterans.
In honor of Veterans Day, we want to see pictures of your loved ones who served our country. Text them to us at 336-379-5775 and we'll share them live on air. Be sure to include the person's name and military branch. Take a look at this great picture and shout out to who we've gotten in so far. As the price of gas and everyday items continue to rise, many folks are looking to make some extra cash during the holidays. Unfortunately, scammers are trying to take advantage of people applying for seasonal jobs. According to the Better Business Bureau, last year, employment scams were the third riskiest scam for all consumers, regardless of age. The organization says so far this year, on average, victims of job scams will lose around $950. BBB's Lachelle Yates says scammers who prey on people during the holidays are some of the most despicable.
Many of the people that we hear from are already out of a job. And so job scams just compound the problem because they've either lost money or they could lose money because they've had their identity stolen.
Yates says there are two types of holiday scams. The first, where the scammer tries to steal your personal information, including your social security number and bank account, by filling out a lot of paperwork. The other often involves a fake check given to the new hire by the scammer to cover supplies and equipment.
We have the misperception that once a check is deposited and the money appears in our account, that the check is good. And that simply isn't the case. It can take up to 2 weeks for a check to wind its way through the banking system and be detected as fake. And when that happens, you're on the hook for the money, not the bank, and certainly not the scammer who is long gone.
The BBB offers several ways to protect yourself from a scam. Be wary of job offers that are only done through email or text. Yates says even during peak hiring season, a legitimate company is going to want to interview you, even if it's just by Zoom. Also, be wary of big money for small jobs. If a job is offering outrageous money for answering a phone or for reshipping packages, that's a red flag. Lastly, do your research. Google the name of the job and see if there are any reports of problems with this job listing. Now, unfortunately, you can still run into some of these scams even on the reputable job sites. The BBB says that these sites are actively searching for these job listings to kick them off. So remember, be careful and do your research.
Right now, you can talk to an insurance expert one-on-one. We have a virtual phone bank going on behind me. You can see all of the insurance experts here. They're from the North Carolina Navigator Consortium. The phone number is on the screen right now, 1-855-733-3711. Take a snapshot there with your phone so that you can keep it handy with you. They can answer any and all things about the ACA healthcare marketplace and find the best health coverage for you. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. Tim here with a weather update for you. We're still tracking Nicole, of course, which weakened to a tropical depression last night. It's not that strong of a storm by itself. Earlier, we had the tornado risk. That's really gone down quite a bit. But the reason I'm showing you this camera, I want you to notice, can you see it bumping in the breeze? It really is getting shaking around a little bit. It's on top of the Winston Tower over in Winston-Salem. Winds have been increasing a little bit. And take a look at that. In fact, let me just kind of bump this off to the side here. Excuse my mess. I know you want to see my pretty face. Well, anyway, the flags are blowing. Is that good enough for you? They are blowing quite a bit. We're looking right here at the winds gusty, really by a lot now, 15, 20, 30 miles per hour. That's more than they were before. And I think it's going to stay this way for quite a long time. Really through about 6, 7, 8 o'clock this evening, we're going to continue to have winds like this. And the reason they're picking up now has to do with where the center of the storm is. It's right here. You see that spinning motion? That's what's left of the storm center. And that's where we would expect the gustiest winds to be. So as we see that moving closer to our area, we will have that windier weather from now really through about 8 to 10 o'clock this evening. Now, as far as the rain goes, we have another one of these big bands. The last time we had one like this was early this morning. That was a tough one. This one is also tough. Different, but still pretty difficult. That is very difficult to drive through. Very heavy rain from Stokes County, really moving through Kernersville right at this time, right along Salem Parkway and I-40. We see it stretching all the way down right on the Davidson County, Randolph County line. This is headed your way in Asheboro, Randleman, Greensboro. All of you should be seeing this in just about the next 30 to 40 minutes. Alamance County, it'll take about an hour to get to you. After that, the rain is quite a bit lighter. And by the weekend, check this out. We have a couple of cold fronts headed our way. The first one's not a big deal. Tomorrow is fine. But look at Sunday. This cold and breezy weather really moving in. We'll have highs only in the 40s to finish off your upcoming weekend.
It's time for a long-standing tradition in the Triad, one that probably will never go away. It's 27 years of this. The Community Theater of Greensboro has gone down the yellow brick road once again. Time for Wizard of Oz. Our Manning Frank's got a sneak peek at this year's production.
Our name is Community Theater of Greensboro, so we, every year our cast of 90, 100 people, we have people that come from all over this county. We have people that come back year after year, but of course bringing new people into our family, like we say, joining the Wizard family is something that's very special for us.
Then I'm sure to get a brain, a heart,
a home,
the nerve.
And we have at least a cast of 90 people, roughly every single year, and half of them are new every single year. We send the word out that we have these auditions, or we have people who come and see the show, and then next thing you know, they're sitting out in the audience and they say, I want to be a part of that.
And sing and ring the bells out, ding dong merry-o, sing it high, sing it low.
It's been a wonderful journey being able to, of course, experience live theater and be able to provide this opportunity for so many people in our community. 27 years has been just a joy to bring the magic of the Wizard of Oz and being able to go down the yellow brick road and over the rainbow.
If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why?
You are going to be loving the show from the time it opens to the time it closes.
It has been
Wow.
around for nearly 30 years. I mean, it's really cool.
I've said this before and I will say it again. I am embarrassed to say that I have never been to that
Gotta
theater.
go.
And I love the Wizard of Oz. And I mean, I'm going this year. It's happening.
You gotta
It's gonna
go.
happen.
It is happening.
And Manning was telling me, because he grew up in Greensboro, he said, yes, I played one of the, I can't remember the title, but they're the ones, not the Munchkins, but they're the ones that carried the swords.
Lollipop Gang?
The Lollipop Guild. Yeah, no.
Your guild, yeah.
I think they're called Winkies. But he said, I grew up, in that theater.
Wow.
I can imagine a lot of kids in this play probably grew up
Yes.
doing different roles. You start off as a Munchkin and then hopefully aspire to be Dorothy or the Tin Man.
And it's happened.
Yeah, and just, being a theater person, just the memories and friendships that you
fun.
make during a process like this.
Got to go check it out.
Kicks off tomorrow. We'll be right back.
Hello, it's Jalen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm fixing Kayana's clip list because it is wrong.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Time to get rolling here. Chad, Eric, Tim, Lauren.
Hello.
Right down the line.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching us on News2, Fire Stick, Roku, News2 app. We're also on Facebook. Got a lot of ways to watch us.
And what a better way to watch us today. Just sitting inside, it's raining outside,
Yes.
and that's just it. And it's going to be happening for a while.
You know, there was a big chunk of weather over the last couple of hours where a lot of people say, this isn't bad. It's sunny and 75 and breezy, and we can like that. Now that's about to change, or it already is changing, folks. We have some dark skies moving in, gusty winds, and a good amount of rain, too. Let's get to that latest weather forecast as we look right now on some different sky cameras across our area. You might be going through this second batch of rainfall. That's the case in Winston-Salem, where there's been gusty winds, heavy rain, all happening within the last 30 minutes or so. Winds in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range. Burlington. This is your look right now. Notice the dark clouds at the top of the screen. The flags are whipping in the breeze as well. It's kind of hot there. Temperatures are in the upper 70s, close to 80 degrees. Isn't that something? Our winds have been gusting kind of sporadically, but they have been getting gustier and gustier with this latest batch of rain, 25 to 40 miles per hour. Probably not enough for power outages. Let's hope that's the case. Never say never, but I'm not too concerned about that. The center of the storm is still back closer to Asheville, North Carolina, but we're getting one of these strong rain bands moving through right now. So we'll zoom in. Doesn't last that long, but it will be like going through a car wash. Some really tough rainfall in this band. We're seeing it pushing closer to Kernersville right now. It's moving across to Colfax, over by the farmers market and the airport in Greensboro in Guilford County. High Point, you're seeing this too. It's moving into Randolph County next, and it's moving east of there over the next 30 minutes to 1 hour. As we look at the center of the storm, that's going to start to push by tonight around 8 o'clock, but it won't be any worse than what we're seeing right now. In fact, it'll probably be better. Just looking at some annoying rain through about 10 o'clock tonight, and then heading into the weekend, surprise, winter is going to start, y'all. We're really looking at cold weather on Sunday. Highs will only be in the 40s down to the 20s by Monday morning.
Tonight's rain could make for a wet commute, though it is not illegal in North Carolina. AAA recommends not using your hazards while you drive. It can be distracting to other drivers. Instead, make sure your lights are on and always go slow or pull over if the roads get too dangerous. If you have to stop your vehicle, make sure you are away from trees or tall objects that could fall on your car, and stay in the car and turn on the hazard lights until the wind subsides. Though we may be through the worst of storms, you should always stay weather aware. Keep our free WFMY News 2 app close as we track the weather ahead.
On this Veterans Day, we are honoring our favorite local veterans. This is the Carolina Field of Honor. Maybe you've been there. It's in Kernersville, where people came to honor and pay their respects today. It's an important day that's celebrated at events across the country.
With a service member holding her umbrella, Vice President Kamala Harris laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery on a rainy Veterans Day. The ceremony was held without President Biden, who paid his respects from the UN climate talks in Egypt.
America's veterans and their families, survivors and caregivers, are the very spine and soul of the United States.
This Veterans Day marks the 40th anniversary of the dedication of the National Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall.
Standing at the wall, hand outstretched, we feel that the sacrifices of these 58,281 fallen Americans remain with us.
From Houston to Chicago to Baltimore, cities and towns across the U.S. honored the service and sacrifice of our military veterans. In New York City, the United War Veterans Council held a ceremony followed by a parade.
I came to represent all the veterans, let them know that our country is with us.
A little rain can't stop what is the largest Veterans Day parade in the country. 20,000 marchers here on New York's Fifth Avenue, representing every branch of the military.
These guys, they give their lives.
101-year-old Dominic Citrelli flew in Europe in World War II.
What we did was worthwhile, and what we're trying to do is going to be even better.
Like many veterans, he says if he had to, he would do it again.
Well, in honor of Veterans Day, we want to see pictures of your loved ones who served our country. Text them to us to this number, 336-379-5775, and make sure you include their name and the military branch. In the meantime, we want to share some veterans that mean something to us. This is my dad. I was a late kid, so my dad was in his 40s when I was born, but he served in World War II toward the end of it for the last year, from 44 to 45.
All right, and up next we have my dad. This is a picture of my father with Colin Powell. This was back in 2012 at South Carolina State. They had a ROTC ceremony. That's where my parents went to school. My dad retired in 2014 as a full bird colonel in the Army, 30 years. He was in Desert Storm. He also was deployed to Iraq. So it's been a great ride, but we're very happy for him. Now he's retired. He's an entrepreneur and he's working for himself.
That's great. My favorite veteran coming up right here. This is my grandfather, Steve. My middle name is Steven. And he was in the Army Air Corps at the time. It's now the Air Force. He was there until 1945. And when he passed a couple of years ago, I was able to get his uniform. So
I love that.
it's just cool to like be able to see it and touch it and feel it and know, you know, the history behind it.
I wish, when you say that, I wish my dad had, I don't know whatever happened to his uniform, but he was very proud of his service. My father passed away in 2003, and I remember him. In fact, if you watch my 2 cents, I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but he told me, he goes, when I do pass away, he goes, I definitely want the American flag on the casket like they do for the vets. That was very important for him, which we did. So
I know my dad has discussed with my family, he would like to be buried at Arlington's cemetery as well, so. Big deal.
I love these days because you know I don't think that our veterans get enough gratitude, enough honor, enough respect, and so I love when there is a day when we can focus on our veterans. And I've even just texted a couple friends who are veterans just to say, hey, thanks for all you did.
And going off that point you said about they don't get enough, recognition. We have so many veterans who are homeless, so many that don't have health care. So I think we have to do our best to make sure that they get what they need and deserve because they made the ultimate sacrifice. It always breaks my heart when I see people on the side of the road holding signs saying, I'm a veteran.
A homeless vet, yes. On the side. I couldn't agree with you more. Even watching, I was obsessed with, because my father was in World War II and there was such an age gap. I lost my dad fairly early than most people do. And so I read about it all the time. If you watch those documentaries, like anything Spielberg does, the Band of Brothers and all those, it truly is a bond that we don't understand unless you're in it.
I also really like that honor flights have become such a big deal. I mean, taking veterans to Washington, D.C. to see, their monument, the area that's dedicated to their
war
of service or their war. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible.
And just how humble a lot of them are. We saw the man in the package there saying, these guys, they put their lives on the line. And Chad, you said you did too.
He's
right,
one of
exactly.
them.
I mean, you're one of them.
Very true.
All right, well, we want to see pictures of your favorite veterans. Text them to us, 336-379-5775, and we might share them in the show.
Right now, WFMY News 2 is getting serious about your health. Enrollment for the Affordable Health Care Act ends December 15th, and we want to make sure you're prepared. 2 Wants to Know's Tanya Rivera is hosting a live free call-in event, answering all of your questions. Tanya, the phone lines opened at 4 o'clock. Are the calls rolling on in?
All right, so we have so many experts. We have 25 experts, and just a small handful of them are working on calls right now, which means that it's a really good time for you to call in and talk to them one-on-one. Let's give you the phone number so that you have that easy. You can take a picture with your phone. It's 855-733-3711. This is a free service. What they're doing is they're giving you guidance. So instead of you going online and seeing all the 1,000,001 programs that are available for healthcare on the ACA marketplace, they're going to ask you specific questions so that they're able to guide you to the best plan that works for you, that fits into your budget and gives you the care that you and your family need. So these experts are here until 6:30 tonight. This is what they do day in and day out. So take advantage of this opportunity right now to figure out your health care.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup here. A warning to parents of young children. Nearly 150,000 Mockingbird strollers purchased online or at Target stores. They've been recalled here. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the lower end of the frame can crack. It causes the child inside the stroller to fall. At least 8 children have been injured. Be aware if you have purchased one of these in the past few years, and the company said they will provide a fix free of charge. All right, just in time for holiday shopping, the Hanes Brands product sale is returning to the Winston-Salem YMCA. If you haven't been to this before, you got to go. Organizers say this year's sale will be the largest ever. Proceeds benefit the Winston-Salem YWCA's mission of eliminating racism and empowering women. The sale will last 2 days. That's today from noon to 7, Saturday from 8 to 3. All you have to do is head to the Y's Wellness Center on South Main Street to stock up there. And the Bryant Park Soccer Tournament kicks off this weekend. This is the largest tournament in the Triad for soccer. Teams from 7 states will come to compete in the North Carolina Fusion Adidas Clash. That's good news for the Triad economy because officials estimate it will generate more than $3.5 million.
As high school football teams advance in the playoffs, we are hearing all sorts of great storylines. For example, a set of brothers both coaching high school playoff teams. WFMY News 2's Jalen Gilkey met the Brown brothers ahead of round 2 of the postseason.
Ever since they can remember, sports have been a big part of Daryl and Calvin Brown's life.
Very competitive. We got another brother that's a year younger than me, so there's 3 of us, and Calvin obviously was the youngest. He's 8 years younger than me, so he kind of got beat up on a little bit.
I got to spend a lot of time watching them play high school sports and getting to kind of learn from them and different things. And as I moved into high school, I played for Daryl's. Daryl's an assistant coach at Southern Guilford.
Not only is Southern Guilford special to the Brown brothers because it's their alma mater, but the football field there is named after their grandfather, C.K. Seiler.
The knowledge that he could give us and help us out growing up, that was huge for us. And then as I got older and figured out that this was kind of the career path that we wanted to take, you start thinking about just the legacy he had, the impact he had on a lot of people in our community.
The relationships that he built with his athletes, his students, coaching staffs, those are the things that I think you kind of take away from what he was able to do. Not so much the X's and O's and stuff of that nature, but just how he went about and what you hear people say about him.
Both coached together at Southern Guilford, and now they're leading the charge as head coaches at 2 Triad high schools. Daryl Brown brought a state championship to Grimsley in the spring 2021 season, the Worley's first state title since 1960, while Calvin Brown looks to chase a championship at Providence Grove.
You just keep kind of building, laying the foundation, and that's what they've done this year by winning a playoff game and moving on to the second round. I mean, you got to start somewhere and just continue to build.
Daryl Brown and the Worleys continue their quest for a second state championship tomorrow against Charlotte Catholic. And a fun fact for you about Calvin's Providence Grove team, the middle brother, Eric, is actually an assistant coach for the Patriots. So all 3 even coached together at years at Southern Guilford.
Wow. And I love that the stadium is named after Grandpa.
Grandfather,
yeah.
Is that right?
So that's their mom's dad.
That's incredible.
Yeah, they come from a long line of coaches. This is what they do. It's in their blood, and they're keeping it going and excelling at what they're doing.
Peyton and Eli Jr. That's what they're trying to be.
I mean, I bet you they wish they could throw it like that.
I bet they do too. Had a couple paychecks like that, wouldn't be bad either.
And maybe you're wondering at home whether they actually play each other. I asked Jalen. He said they're in different classes, so they won't play each other.
They won't play each other. But I do know that the Providence Grove and Calvin and Providence Grove, they've been on a great tear ever since he's been there. He introduced the school to their first winning season this week. Last week, they won their first ever playoff game in school history. So they're on the up and up down in Providence Grove.
In the family.
Yeah, it's just what they do.
That's right.
That's great.
Very cool. All right, we got to talk Panthers, right?
All right, yep, time for the Panthers. And now, we're the official home for your Carolina Panthers, and we're giving you a chance to win a family pack of tickets to their game against the Denver Broncos. All you got to do is answer the questions in our trivia contest on the homepage of our website. Sign in with your Facebook or email account, then fill out just some basic information. The contest is live right now and will be active until 6 p.m. tonight. So you only got a few minutes left. You can play as many times as you like. We'll randomly select a winner and announce that name tonight at 11 p.m. We'll be right back after this quick break.
There was a celebration of life today in downtown Atlanta for Takeoff, a member of the hip-hop trio Migos. You'll remember he recently died in a shooting. The State Farm Arena, home of the Atlanta Hawks, hosted the memorial service. This is the huge sign posted outside the arena, lit up with his image. Someone shot and killed Kersnick Ball earlier this month outside a Houston bowling alley. So far, no one's been arrested. Takeoff's death set off an outpouring of grief across the hip-hop world, which remembered the 28-year-old as a creative genius poised for big things.
Throughout the day, celebrities have taken to Twitter to show condolences to Takeoff. LeBron James retweeted this picture of the banner hanging outside of the State Farm Arena in Atlanta saying, "Live long the man, sky high, young King Takeoff." James, who has worked on several hip-hop projects, says he's been a fan of the Migos rap trio for a very long time. Gun violence has taken the lives of several promising and positive artists in the hip-hop community. Since the late 1890s, 50 major hip-hop greats have died, and one lawyer says he's sick of it. James Walker is an entertainment attorney in Atlanta. He's getting the word out about a safety checklist he created to help artists be more aware. It details how to travel safely, how to dress, and where to eat, while emphasizing the importance of always having a plan.
I think when you're a top artist, whether rap, whether pop, R&B, whatever, you have to be mindful that while 90% of people love you, there's that 10% out there that can't stand you.
Right now, Walker is sending his checklist to agencies, lawyers, and labels in hopes to prevent murals like the one that you're seeing on your screen here. I think this is so important. Obviously, no one wants to think about a will or wants to think about, safety and all those kind of things. But when you're a public figure, regardless of what you do, it's unfortunate. You're in the public eye, and there are people that are hateful. There are people who are jealous, and there are people who, want what you have.
It's crazy that this is what we've come to,
Uh-huh.
a checklist to let people know where to eat, what to dress, or how to dress. I mean, it's crazy.
And to remain safe. I mean, because
Right.
you're an artist, you wouldn't think that. But I mean, even if you go all the way back to the 1970s when someone shot John Lennon and just walked up to his house, just that price of fame can sometimes be huge.
And over the last few years, I mean, being a rapper has become one of the most dangerous jobs in the world.
It's true.
It's just what it is. At this point, it's so unfortunate to hear that we've lost another talent and another musical genius to just senseless violence.
Yeah, we got to do better. We got to do better as a community. Conflict resolution, just put the guns down, honestly. Regardless if you're a rap artist or famous or not, we just have to do better as a society.
Gotta learn how to communicate better.
Yeah, gotta learn how to communicate.
And it's such a shame because when famous people, artists, musicians see this, they're not going to be as inclined to go out there and be out in the public as much when something like this happens.
It almost makes me wonder if people that do have this kind of platform use that to get the word out there that we have to do better, because a lot of us look up to musical artists, look up to athletes and things of that nature, but I think it's just the culture and the world that we live in. But we have to make a change, and I think people that make that big of an impression on others, they can really lead that.
We hope so. Yeah, we'll be watching with fingers crossed, that's for sure. All right, let's take a break. We're coming back in just a minute.
Hey, 2 Wants to Know is giving you a way to get all your healthcare enrollment information in one spot. So there are 25 experts from the North Carolina Navigator Consortium who are answering your calls. So this is one-on-one time. Instead of you going on the database and looking at all of the different plans and wondering what's best for you, they can help guide you to what is going to be the very best for your family and the very best for your pocketbook as well. The number is on the screen, 855-733-3711. They're here until 6:30.
Still tracking very heavy rain moving across the Triad. For some of you, this could be the heaviest rain you've seen all day long. This is that band that we're watching. It's going through Rockingham, Guilford, Randolph at the moment. This is kind of like going through a car wash. Not only is it extremely heavy rain, but it's also kind of coming at you from all sides because the wind is blowing around, gusting around 41 miles per hour just in the last couple of minutes at PTI Airport. We're seeing this kind of all over the place. So keep an eye on the sky. If you have to be out and about, it's kind of best to avoid the heavy rain. It won't last that long. We'll have more radar checks coming up for you on News 2 at 5 o'clock.
BBB's Lachelle Yates says many of
Hi, hello, how are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Hey, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, checking.
Right now you can get free help and guidance.
Video games while doing whatever. I think that's helpful for sure. Ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together. Okay.
It's my second to last mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh my gosh, I keep getting called Amanda. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
Hi there, it's time for my 2 cents. And today, you know what today is, Veterans Day. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. First of all, veterans in general and how much they deserve our respect. Some sacrifice their lives for us. All have the potential of sacrificing their lives for us and so much more. They sacrifice time with their family. They sacrifice time in the real world, to be honest with you. They give all. And no one deserves our respect any more than our veterans. All of them, no matter what conflict, no matter what war, even in peacetime, they deserve our respect. And there's one in particular that I would like to mention, and that's my father. My father, who passed away in 2003, I was a very late kid, served in World War II. He was very, very proud of his service. So much so that he always talked about that when the time came for him to go home, as some people like to say, he wanted that American flag on his casket. It meant a lot to him. Also, with our veterans who are so proud of their service are the people that stand behind them. And in this case, here's a picture of my mom during that same time when my father served in World War II. She held the fort down, and boy did she. 4 kids under the age of 5 at one point before I came along, 13 years later. She did her service as well. So here's to all of our veterans and all the families and all the support team behind them all. God bless you all. Thank you for everything you did for us, do for us now, and will do for us in the future. Happy Veterans Day. That's just my 2 cents. And that's the 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Here is a look at the Triad from our Winston-Salem Sky Cam today. It shows how much our weather has changed over the last several hours, from pouring rain to sunny skies. A live look at Winston-Salem right now. The skies are cloudy, but no rain in sight, not even an